Good afternoon, Internet, and welcome to Telling Tales, where we play spooky, atmospheric tabletop role-playing games for your enjoyment. Today we're going slightly less spooky and a bit more spoopy, as we will be playing for Sherlock Holmes and a vampire who is also one of the aforementioned vampires. It was created by Andrew J. Young. Thank you very much. You have already brought joy into our lives. But first, I will do a small amount of promo for the channel before I introduce our players. We stream on Twitch and archive our VODs on YouTube. We have social media on Twitter, Mastodon, Facebook, and Instagram. We are there either as Telling Tales or Telling Tales RP, depending on which platform. Search for both, you'll find us. On Monday, we have of our regular weekly streams, we have Scandinavian folk horror system Vaesen, as run by Jonny. We are due I think it's our 4th episode tomorrow. So if you wait, a couple of hours, maybe for the stream to end, then you've got just enough time to catch up and join us live tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have the also Scandinavian dark fantasy Simbroom with Matt. And once a month, we run one-shots. That's what we're doing right now. This is the November one-shot, slightly delayed Halloween stream. And if you want to check out our playlist on YouTube, we have Troika, a recent cyborg that is mid-going live, I think, and a space-themed Call of Cthulhu. We are also on Discord if you would like to drop by and talk to us about role-playing games and other things that you may enjoy talking about, then feel free to stop by. And if you really like us, you can also support us on Patreon. And on that note, I would like to thank our patrons from Discord who helped suggest a number of sometimes slightly worrying murder scenes to help with this one-shot. So, with all of our promo out of the way, I will introduce our players for our first case. I'm John, and I will be playing the consulting detective Sherlock Holmes. We will also be joined by Chris. Chris, who will you be playing today?
I'm playing a perfectly normal, non-vampiric Sherlock Holmes.
Fantastic. We will also be joined by Pierre. Pierre, can you tell us a little bit about your character?
I'm going to be playing a totally unique and invented off the top of my head, sort of kind of detective-like figure, 6'9", long flowing clothes, Sherlock Holmes.
Excellent. And our fourth player will be Jonny. Jonny, who are you joining us with today? You are on mute.
I'm going to be planning to play a very quiet character called Sherlock Holmes. He's sort of he investigates things. I'm not sure the exact word that you would use to describe that, but yeah, just going for something along those lines today. Kind of vague,
sort of like an investigator.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
That's the word for it.
Excellent. Yeah. So, I have, as previously mentioned, in this sadly unspooky hat, because I did have a spooky hat, but then I got rid of it, and I didn't have time to order one online. I have a number of murder scenes. So let's see where our investigators are investigating today. Our scene starts in a unit in a shopping center or a shopping mall, depending on your preferred colloquialism. In how to describe? The scene starts in a non-brand specific build your own teddy bear or soft plush shop/workshop, which was suggested to us by, I believe, Utrecht 43. It was slightly more specific when it was given to us, but for legal reasons, I decided. So we start in a wide open area, soft, plush pastel carpets, slightly headache-inducing neon lighting, and rows upon rows of completely identical but adorable soft plushes begging to be taken away from this cursed place. I'm going to roll a d6. I get a 5. So, Chris, could you please look at the scene details and tell me some more about this scene? Oh no.
Yeah, just to give you the options, because there's a slash option. You've got 2 options here. The first option, which I am not going to take, is adult book collection. But toward the back of this emporium, where maybe the slightly more niche themed theming events are, there's a lot of kind of science fiction style things. There's a lot of dragon style teddy bears. There's a few sandworm style teddy bears from the year that it is, and but one maybe slightly disproportionately long, maybe slightly a little bit too long for the confines of the physical dimensions of the shop, is a line of vampire themed teddy bears. And I will proceed to roll the next option. Someone owes me a beer for not choosing the first option. Okay. I just rolled a 2.
Okay. So the options there are more than one katana or too many pets. I think amid this collection of various stuffed bears, there are sort of like, you could occasionally see like a scurrying of something, a bit of movement amid the bears. Maybe there's something alive in there. Maybe there's some sort of like hamsters, gerbils, cats, dogs. Is that the sound of a monkey? It's all rather disquieting, as in the otherwise utterly silent Build-A-Bear workshop. But perhaps there is hope. Perhaps we can discover something that will identify a crime that has gone on here. Do I roll now or not? I don't believe I do.
Yeah, you do, I think.
Okay. Well,
No.
I don't think Pierre does.
Third player does not roll again.
Last player is incorporating all of these details into a terrible crime, I guess.
Lying on the floor, their face being licked by dogs, hamsters, gerbils. Is that a monkey? Lies an employee of this store, dressed as a vampire-themed plush. Their mouth is filled with googly eyes.
Beautiful.
At first glance, it's not possible to tell what the cause of death is, but that probably didn't help.
Okay. Interesting. Intriguing.
Fantastic. Just so that I can visualize in your head, is it like a person in a vampire costume with like bear ears, or is it like a full-on mascot?
I'm picturing a mascot outfit with like maybe their face is like the bear's mouth,
Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha.
and then their mouth is full of googly eyes.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Just
Yeah.
Absolutely.
how could something so good happen to someone so innocent and pure?
So, amidst this scene of vampiric horror and animalistic abundance, just like there's just a space between two bears, two little vampire bears, and they just sort of quiver a bit, and then they move, and then a small furry face pops out from between these two bears as a 6-7 foot inch tall mouse in tweed and a deerstalker pushes its way out from between the two bears and goes, there's been a murder. And climbs down the shelves, scurries over to the corpse to start investigating, kind of shooing the other animals away, flapping its arms at the monkey to try and get it to leave, and just generally trying to secure the scene and make sure that no further evidence is contaminated. Chris, how does your Sherlock Holmes appear?
Waltzing down the aisle, dressed exceptionally well for a shopping centre. He will round upon the scene, observe the situation, and exclaim, "Well, I would ask us to vote on how we should start this investigation, but it seems the ayes have it. Am I right, my dear friends?"
He says to a single small mouse-like Sherlock Holmes and a large collection of animals.
So I think, Pierre, how do you want to enter this nonsense?
Just as you have finished saying that, in fact, like there's an uncomfortable pause, and then you hear the shattering of the skylight, and a figure 6'8" at least bursts down onto the ground, wreathed in black and looking gaunt and skeletal. I rise to my full and intimidating height and say, "Oh, there seems to have been a bit of a commotion." I assume you too sensed that maybe some mischief was afoot?
Well, I do enjoy stalking around closed, fluffy bear workshops after hours, but no, I am here on business.
Oh, one of the hamsters came to my apartment earlier and informed me of this horrible circumstance. I'm not sure we're all here, though. Wasn't there supposed to be another fellow?
Yes, he's always late.
You will hear a sort of a voice appearing from a slight distance away, and then a figure rounds the corner and goes, like, facing behind them as if they're talking to somebody. Yes, and then they tried to use this blow dart, and anyway, turned out it was a cult. Oh, hello there. This person, you would say, looks like kind of they're quite a young Sherlock Holmes, if you will. Look like they've maybe just come from a Victorian boarding school. Sorry, I'll pop this away. Oh, goodness. More death. Oh, you all seem like fine people. Sure, we should probably investigate, I suppose.
Yes, we are all investigators. right?
That is why we're here.
Well, perhaps I shall start, since you all seem to be rather reticent to engage in any sort of proper detective work. And I walk over to the cash register, and I note I pluck this extremely long, thin, but very attractive single hair that was trapped there. It's maybe like a meter in length. And it just waves majestically. Well, as you can see from this simple clue, we shall soon be at the bottom of this mystery. For though this hair is bright red, I think we will find that our poor victim's hair is of darkest black. And this hair does not match, thus proving that someone else was here who was not this man. And why would such a man, on his own, ever seek the companionship of someone with hair a meter long? I think if we get to the bottom of this, we shall get to the bottom of who killed him.
My dear good man, it is fantastic detective work. Were it not for the rather large amounts of individuals who have been walking over, jogging over, relieving themselves over, and generally making a nuisance of this entire scene, I, in fact, can think of several large horses that hair could have belonged to, none of whom, as far as I was aware, are capable of murder. But, well, one thing I have learned is I can often be surprised.
You think you can do better?
Well, I would say that instead of wandering over to the other side of the room, perhaps an investigation of the body would reveal something more, well, concrete. For example, I dive into like the space between the mouth of the bear and the victim, and just scurry in to the costume, and there's a rustling and muffled noises, and then just awkward amounts of silence for a long amount of time. You're not entirely sure whether I'm going to come back out. And then you see me backing out of the hole, dragging something along behind me until I pull myself out, holding an old-fashioned Polaroid picture of a car, and I go, well, now, this appears to have been part of their Back to the Future promotional series that they did before these strange Transylvanian bear fellows came into popularity. I have here a picture of the victim with a very strange-looking DeLorean. I would put forth that on the wages of a brand non-specific bear construction workshop worker, that a man in this role would not be able to afford such a car, especially not with a top-of-the-line flux capacitor on the front. I would put forward that this man had debts that he had no means to satisfy, and that perhaps his debtor came to extract what was owed to them in blood.
Blood, you say?
May I posit that that's not the victim in that picture? It can be
Go
clearly
on.
seen here that the victim's mouth is full of googly eyes.
Very astute.
Do you propose that the googly eyes were a long-term fixture?
Perhaps we don't have enough information to say otherwise.
That's a very good point, a very rash assumption of me.
Let me have a
Occam's
look.
razor would suggest the simplest explanation might well be the total permanence of these googly eyes.
Kind of feel around under the fluffy legs of this mascot style outfit, and aha! And it's a floral piece of fabric, torn fabric, which looks nothing like anything that this person is wearing. And kind of put it in my palm, give it a little scratch, and then smell it and go, oh, it's like a scratch and sniff fabric. Does this smell of garlic to any of you? And pass it around under everybody's nose.
Oh, it does. Can't stand the stuff.
As you pass it under my nose, I'm like, no. But you do notice that as you go past, I like just lean in really uncomfortably close to your neck. Just stare at it for a little bit, and then I like shake my head.
I accept the fabric, I sniff it, I hold it up to the light, I pull out a very minuscule magnifying glass and inspect the threads carefully and go, yes. Do you have any hypotheses? And pass it back to you.
Well, I would say the fact that this was found under the body implies that it has not been left by somebody perusing the scene afterwards, and could belong to either somebody that the victim knows or their killer, or perhaps they are one and the same. Obviously a lover of garlic.
And definitely somebody with very long red hair.
Still to be decided.
Well, we still have a little work to do on the poor victim, and Sherlock will step up to the victim and remove the headpiece of the ensemble, and kind of tucked awkwardly as the headpiece is removed. It's clearly stashed in the head where there is space between the human's head and the bear's head. Falls out a newspaper with the headline, "Thousands of pets released from local pet cemetery reincarnation facility." But you will note that the date on the newspaper is tomorrow's date.
Good Lord.
You say he was pictured next to a flux capacitor equipped DeLorean, which are, might I add, illegal.
I see.
I fear we may be dealing with time shenanigans, my fellow Sherlock Holmes.
How did you know my name?
It's on that little name badge that you have. It's very cute.
Oh, I'm
It's-
quite impressed you could read it from down here.
It's elementary, my dear Holmes.
I have
This does
spectacular
nothing. This does nothing to remove my confusion so far, but perhaps, well, time travel always simplifies matters such as these. It's been a while since I've solved my last time murder. I also want to cast a wary look at Sherlock Holmes when I kind of revealed the neck of the employee to see if he's kind of eyeing it up.
Which Sherlock Holmes?
You.
You know which Sherlock.
You know which Sherlock Holmes. Don't
Okay.
try and dodge the question.
When you revealed his neck, I just, like, in the space, like, if you hadn't been staring directly at my face, you wouldn't have seen anything. But in a split second, like less than a second, really quick, I licked my lips. I like, my eyes widened. I licked my lips again. I, like, my head like tilted aggressively, but then it snapped back to just a calm, collected, almost instantaneously. Well, anyway, and I will have another look. Oh, that's interesting. The long red hair from that from the till was pointing to that slightly ajar door over there. And I open the ajar door and I see an enormous corkboard with bits of red string connecting photos, one photo of which was missing and had the word time travel car ? But all of the rest, like, it points to many different people, places, and a suspicious number of photos appear to be of this man in this bear suit, in this vampire themed bear suit, at all sorts of different ages. So, you know, there's old man in a bear suit, there's young boy in a bear suit with vampire fangs, there's middle-aged man in a bear suit, and they all sort of like converge on the missing photo. Well, can't you see, my fellow, is it fair to say Holmeses at this point, that not only is this man potentially involved in time travel, potentially his stalker, whoever did this to him, was also perhaps affiliated with the temporal arts. And not only that, but the common thread between all of these is that at all points in time, this man is in a bear suit with vampire fangs. Perhaps he is some linchpin to the space-time continuum. At least that's how I understand it.
So perhaps his murder may have been an attempt to unravel the space-time causality.
Yes, that's definitely what I was saying.
But to what end?
To all ends, it would seem.
Who would want to threaten the space-time continuum? Certainly not a Transylvanian. And I turn to look to all of you
I
in sort
think
of vague fashion to see if my xenophobic display.
I'll just
now I
shrug.
don't know what sort of truly false stereotypes you have been fed about Transylvanian citizens, but I assure you there is no place for language like that among the senior consulting detective.
I make meaningful glances at the other two Holmeses.
Like meaningful as in.
I mean, I start out trying to make them very like intense and like directed, and then I lose it halfway through, and I'm like, especially if your head turns towards the other.
Suddenly, as the four Holmeses are peering through the door into this back room, there is a noise over one of the displays because it isn't all bears. There's a couple of cat models. There's a possum model, and over in the far corner, strangely on the opposite side of the room to the vampire display, there is a display of plush bats. And there is a noise as 3 or 4 plush bats tumble to the ground, and a black and silver snub-nosed Shih Tzu that had been hiding behind the display looks at the four of us with like terror in its tiny beady eyes and goes, "Woo!" And I go, "A witness after that Shih Tzu," and like scurries over to try and apprehend the dog before it can make for the exit.
I will also run over and go, "Oh, so cute," and then pick up the bat plushies.
Kind of over your shoulder, I'll be like, "Oh, it's not very realistic. It looks like they were going for a maybe Myotis or Order Episticus, maybe. This would be brown rather than black. That's not very. But I suppose it's just for the kiddies, isn't it?"
Yeah. And I'll scoop the rest of them up and kind of hold them all.
I will move like uncomfortably fast, like in maybe 1 or 2 strides. You maybe even didn't even see how many strides it took me to cross the room, and I will like with one sort of gaunt and claw-like hand, I will grab for the Shih Tzu, and like my fingers will form a prison around its body as I pin it to the ground. What do you know?
The poor trapped Shih Tzu sort of quivers in your grasp and goes, I saw them. I saw 3 of them. All 3 of them. They came from the door.
As ingenious as I am, I do not speak barking dog. Do we have an animal specialist translator on hand?
Well, that's beside the point, because I believe we have a creature of darkness in our midst. So, let alone a translator, I think we have to have a Transylvanian-ator. Sherlock Holmes, are you a vampire?
After like a brief moment of confusion, I will be like, "No, of course not. I am just, a standard lover of necks. And I spilt a bit of port just before I burst in through the window." Look, growing up, I was always an unpopular boy, gangly and tall, freakishly so, some would say, and people would always turn their heads away from me. And as an adult, that grew into an appreciation of necks, of all shapes and sizes. muscular, a bit chunky, slender. Oh, they're so beautiful. Is it a crime for a man to love necks? No, no, sir. I am definitely not a vampire. But I do believe you were right about one thing. There is a bestial thing within our midst. And I accuse you, Sherlock Holmes. And I will point to Jonny.
Holding the bat.
Yes.
Me? No, what? Why would you even... And I'll look down at all the bats that I'm quibbling. I see why there has been some confusion. No. You see, at the Victorian boarding school which I attend, not only have I stopped the work of some evil cults with... Did I show you my blowpipe? Yes.
Yes, we've all seen the blowpipe, Sherlock.
Okay. Well, one of the electives that we can study is chiropterology, the scientific study of bats. And well, I thought it sounded interesting, so I took it. And in the few months that I've been studying, I've kind of fallen in love with the wee beasties. They suit me, you know. They investigate in a way, don't they, with their sounds, and they swoop and sweep, and quite lovely creatures, really. So yes,
They're like the necks of the animal kingdom.
I'll be nodding enthusiastically.
But I hang on a minute. One of us, I think one of us may be. Yes, I think. Well, only one of us comes from the home of the vampire. I accuse you, Sherlock Holmes.
Why, how dare you assume certain characteristics of an individual based purely on their place of origin? You are correct. However, I still deeply offended by this portrayal of Transylvanian citizens and vampires. However, fellow Sherlock Holmes, I do think we are getting wildly off topic. There is a man dead on the floor. There is a Shih Tzu witness claiming to have seen 3 of the same individual walk through that door. There is a threat to the space-time continuum itself. And you 3 are walking around here, pointing fingers, casting aspersions on leading detectives about who may be a blood-drinking vampiric nightmare of the night, when we clearly have fairly more important things to be worrying about here than who's been going around biting people in the ankles and draining their blood in the middle of the night. It doesn't even kill anyone. I'm a mouse. I don't take that much blood.
You know, Sherlock, you make a damn good point.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
I got caught up in just the banal day-to-day things that I failed to see the crime that has happened directly in front of my eyes. I'm so sorry.
The real crime here is racism.
And murder.
And murder, yes.
Yes, I'm very sorry for the racism, not the murder.
Perhaps-
That wasn't me.
Perhaps instead of fighting in such fractious manners, we should work together to get to the bottom of whatever killed this poor man whose mouth was filled with googly eyes.
Did you say you had a theory there, Sherlock?
I do indeed. And I must say, before I continue, that it is awfully big of all of you to, face up to your failings. I know it isn't
relatively,
easy for
most
Sherlock
people are awfully
Holmeses.
big.
Yes. Well, thank you. You've already insulted my Transylvanian heritage. You don't need to insult my entire species as well. I would like to draw attention to what my esteemed colleague correctly pointed out may in fact have been the most important clue all along. The long red hair trapped in the cash register. Also like to pull attention to the clue that my other colleague identified, the newspaper dated tomorrow, and look not at the undead breakout of the pet cemetery and the thousands of zombie creatures that are plaguing the land. Instead, I would like you to turn to the race results. And I would like you to look at the odds against the race pony known as Big Red Chungus. You see, I was correct. There is no way that this man could afford a DeLorean on non-specific build your own teddy bear workshop wages. This man was putting in bets, trying to recoup the losses of his expensive time travel fascination. Of course, the only way he could support such a habit is to, in fact, invent time travel and to bet on bets that had already happened in the future, and then travel back in time where they had not happened and bet on them. I'm sure there was a better way to phrase that, but I'm sure you all see where I'm going.
It's nothing more than simple time fraud. Genius.
Exactly.
I was too busy looking for a complicated solution to see the simple one right in front of my eyes.
So, this man, he travels through time. He collects newspapers. He reads the results. He places the bets. But what happens when this simple time fraud turns into time race fixing? I propose that this man approached Big Red Chungus, or his competitors perhaps, and tried to skew the results, affecting times in the future that had already happened, and force Big Chungus to lose, hence netting him a large amount of money. Big Chungus, in response, invented his own time travel, collected 3 different versions of this man, turned them against him, and then brought them to this point in time to exact Big Chungus's revenge.
A scheme as evil as it is simple.
There is a certain elegance to it. I cannot believe that I suppose I always knew in my heart that horses have an even more powerful form of time travel to regular humans, and thus we could never hope to win in some sort of race fixing against their equine genius.
It's obvious our time travel requires a car with a flux capacitor fitted, and horses can't drive.
Well, I guess
True.
that suggests that the ultimate crime person, what's the word for that?
Perpetrator, my dear Holmes.
Crime creator. Yes, the ultimate crime creator was none other than old Big Red.
Exactly. The question
Case
is,
closed.
Do we bring justice against current-day Big Red Chungus, who has yet to commit the crime, or future Big Red Chungus, who has committed the crime?
I think we can leave that to Time Scotland Yard.
Quite right. Yes,
After all,
my
they
boy.
were always good at resolving these kinds of, extrajudicial executions and such. I mean, justice dispensaries,
Yes, they're very good at just losing the file and waiting until the future becomes the present and then solving the crime.
Well, I must say, it has been a pleasure working with such esteemed colleagues as you. But I must go and see to cases elsewhere. And with that, I scrabble up the side of the building and back through the skylight.
Yes, I too must be off. It is soon to be bedtime in Baker Street, and I have ankles to bite. So, good day, gentlemen. And I scurry off back to the gap in the wall between the two bears from which I originally emerged.
As a very normal Sherlock Holmes, I am going to walk to my very normal car. Would you like to go for a coffee, Mr. Holmes?
I will take a moment, still holding the bats, and then I will put them each back in their places on the shelves and say, yes, that would be lovely. And then as other Sherlock sets off, I will take one of the bat plushies again and hide it in my bag. And on the way out of the shop say, I wonder which of them I'll become.
I like the image of two Holmeses walking off into the evening as we've just left a corpse and the animals come back.
Haven't reported it to the police either.
Wait, no, I'm here to solve crimes, not report them.
Yeah. Fantastic. And such ends the first Halloween case file of 4 Sherlock Holmes and a vampire who is one of the aforementioned vampires. We will now take a quick 10-minute break. We will reshuffle our cast, reallocate our Sherlocks, reacquire our suspicious quirks where required, and we will see you in another 10 minutes.
Goodbye.